Hey, what is up, guys? Over here, bringing you another high-level Halo Wars commentary. Today, we're going to be playing on Crevice against Limits and BH onto Legit, and they'll be running Cutter Brute, and I will be with Pursue all day, and we'll be running Cutter Arby. So, just based on the names of those players, you're in store for some pretty good games, and yes, I do say some pretty good games because there's not one but two games in this single video. So it's a little double feature because I don't think I'm gonna be able to get around to uploading a game for the next few days, so I thought I'll give you guys a little bit of extra content to watch. So these games, we were matchmaking each other last night and in a party, so we could actually get each other every time. And this is probably the highest level game that's probably in Halo Wars and Twos right now. I'd probably say that the best teams that are actually searching are between them two and are the two teams in this game between Limits and Too Legit and me and Pursue, or I guess randomly it could change up and it could be me and Too Legit and someone, or I don't know. But nonetheless, this is pretty much a skill capped game where pretty much all the players, no matter what the true skill says on the leaderboards, all the players in this game are 50 true skill in twos. At least they play at it. So pretty much all the teams are pretty much doing all the players in this game are pretty much going all out try hard in order to pull out the win for their team. And Pursue and I are going to do our best to play against their Cutter Brute. They didn't feel like playing Cutter Arby for some reason. They're definitely their main combo, but Limits can definitely play Brute. So they just decided to search as Brute instead of Arby. So we ended up playing a bunch of Cutter Brute versus Cutter Arby games. So I know Market wanted me to post another game showing how to beat basically proving the theory a little more how Arby's can beat Brutes on Crevice. And this is pretty much we're gonna try to show it again in this video to show that Arby's can handle their own on Crevice, especially top tier Arby's. We ended up playing three games on Crevice, so Pursue and I weren't too happy about that. It keeps being a trend where we keep searching Cutter Arby against Cutter Brute, and we keep getting Beasley's and Crevice, which I mean, while you can't well, a top tier Arby can win on pretty much any map. I'd still rather get Arby maps like Labyrinth, we have to take whatever map we get. So we've just been getting Beasley's and Crevice a ton. So luckily, before this game, we've had a lot of practice playing against Brutes on Crevice, and we're gonna see what we can do here. So in this game, I'm going to be sending my first two Marines to the middle and my third one to the side. I'm sending the first two to the middle because the person spawning across from me is the Brute, and he's probably not going to be rushing to get into that hook anytime soon. So I have a little bit of time before I need to get in there. Even though he's going to be trying to camp me at this hook, I'm still in no rush to get into it because I can simply build two flamers or send a tank over later in the game. And it's just really easy to get my side hook back against the Brute that's across from me. And it's much harder to get the middle back because you basically need to have a tank in the middle in order to get the middle back. And normally the team that holds the middle for the whole game wins the game. And luckily we were able to camp two Legit's Marines enough to the point where I could get into both of the middle. And now you can see on Pursue's base that Limits is opting just to try to strip Pursue's main instead of going for the garrisons. But what we're gonna be doing is I'm actually on Tech 4 right now because I got the middle and I snuck in that side hook, and I'm still camping the middle. So my goal right now, I'm gonna be trying to get straight into power turret because when you have 4 tech on Crevice, you don't know how long it will be before you get back into 4 tech on Crevice because normally there's a bunch of trading of the reactors. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna heal a tank first because there's a Brute on Pursue's base and I want to help it. But instead, I see Too Legit send 2 flamers over. That's a pretty good strat. I do that sometimes depending on what I'm feeling and how the game's going. But yeah, he sent 2 flamers over to my hook and ended up getting me out. So I am no longer on Tech 4. I can no longer get power turret. But I still am on Tech 3, so I mean, I can still get canny. I catch at the very corner of my eye that he was sending that flamer to the back of our bases. And I'm assuming he sent it back here, so when I went to take him out of it, and then he was going to try to sneak back in or try to flame me out real quick, when I wasn't paying attention, so I'm just going to go back and kill that flamer. Limits ended up actually recalling this game. I don't know particularly why, but yeah, he recalled. He had a decent amount of health left. I guess Limits just wanted to help with the middle reactors because Too Legit was getting pretty denied this game as far as the middle. But I'm going to have a tank go into the middle. I have a tank at the side, and I'm going to be just trying to continue to hold and take them out of the reactors. Right now, since I built a Wolverine just because I knew that Limits was going to be getting onto air, and it never hurts to build a Wolverine versus a Brute because it's just going to help out in the long run, the longer it stays alive. So since I don't have Tech 2 right now, I'm going to be building a Spartan. That's basically what you should always do. You can either upgrade pads or build some Spartans, and normally I prefer to get Spartans because they actually make my tank stronger. And this map is not all about eco. This map is more about getting anywhere from 0 to 2, in my opinion, 0 to 2 heavies, and then just basically spamming units and marines and trying to get tech and hooks. So Limits actually hopped into that middle reactor, so he has a couple options with that. He can either go for repeating cannon, he can build vampires, but I'm going to try to take him out of that as quickly as I can so he can't sit on that decision for too long. That one Brute Squad, though, is actually doing some damage on my tank, but I have 2 more down here and a Spartan to assist, so I'm pretty easily going to be able to take him out. And Pursue's actually in one of the middle hooks right now, too, so he's probably going to be building a couple of Vampires to start out, and maybe eventually switch into Banshees if we can get the air lead under control. So Pursue actually, this game pushed off Limits with relative ease. It kind of helped that Limits recalled when he was like 3/4 health. But he still is fine. Pursue is definitely ahead right now because he's on 2 bases and Limits is on 1. Me and Too Legit are just having a little tank engagement. I see that he's running to his main base. So since he's running to his main base, I'm deciding to go to Limits' main base and try to get some DPS on his base. I see that Marine go into the middle. I'm just going to send a tank back to canny it. I don't think it died, but I think my next tank will get it. That's coming through the middle, where I'm going to keep sending it down. It doesn't matter. But I'm just going to try to pick off some heavies off Limits' base so he can't fluently double pump air. So Too Legit comes over and brings. He has 4 tanks. I have 4. He has 4 tanks up here. I have 3 and a Wolf, and we had our RB. Pursue ended up drawing the candies from the tanks, which gave me a little bit of time to run away. He really wasn't planning on using his RB this game because how important air is on this map, and RBs just don't do much unless you're really playing against an Anders that's going Gauss. So right now I have a decent amount of tanks. I'm on 25 pop right now between my tanks building and my tanks on the field. But the problem is my tanks are all split up. I have like 3 in the middle and then like 2 or 3 on the side and a Wolverine on the side. But I see Too Legit is pushing to the middle to try to get us out, so I'm going to get a free canny. That's part of the good part of having the middle reactors is you have sight on their tanks, so you basically get a free canny on their tanks, and you might get a free kill. But since I saw his tanks were down there, I'm going to keep this group of tanks up here, and I'm going to start stripping Limits some more, because I don't think Too Legit's exactly in position to push these off right now, since he has a lot of tanks in the middle, and I have a lot of tanks in the middle too, so I'm doing a nice job this game of splitting up my tanks, and effectively splitting up my tanks, and not like getting caught over and over. So now he does have 2 or 3 tanks over to push me off the base, but I killed a heavy supply bat earlier off Limits, and I just dropped 2 more heavies off him, so Limits is hurting eco-wise. And I even stopped this Marine going to the middle. So me and Pursue are doing a very effective job of keeping everything down. Limits does have a bunch of Banshees on my base, but Pursue has Vampires out, so he's telling me, don't worry, I got it. So it looks like Legit has about 5 tanks up there, maybe 1 or 2 as Spartans, and I have like 4 or 5 tanks in the middle, and I have 1 with a Spartan. And I'm about to have 6. So we are definitely in the lead right now. We have air lead. We have one of the middle hooks right now, and we're just looking to be in a good spot. So I'm pretty much just waiting right now. I want to start getting into the middle reactor if I can to get power turret, because that's what I'm thinking. So this is what I'm bringing up about like having sight from the reactors. I just got 2 free cannies off and two tank kills. I think he might have killed one of my tanks, but I traded 2 tanks for one.
Local units.
So that just gives me an extra tank lead. And he can't even stay down here because we have a couple Banshees, and I still have more tanks in the middle than him.
Reactor claimed.
So I can still get back in these reactors with relative ease. So
Ready.
I send that Spartan into the reactor
Local
because I know it'll
units.
take forever to walk a
Local
Marine straight
units.
up. And here I am again
Local
denying his
units.
Marine from getting into the middle. So the middle is just so key to like this map because it's just 2 free easy reactors to hold for the most part. So I have a Spartan and that one reactor. I'll take it out and trade it for a Marine after I
All
get power
units.
turret queued, which is going to be right now. And I think I have a Marine walking to the middle. And here we go again.
All
Too legit sending a
units.
Marine to the middle, and he
All
didn't get
units.
there in time once again. And now my Marine's down there, and I'm just going to put the Spartan in the tank and the Marine in the reactor. So we have air lead. We have at least even tanks.
Local
I might have a
units.
couple more, and I definitely have tech lead because there's no way
Local
Too Legit is
units.
getting into power turret right now like I am because I
All
have
units.
3 reactors on the map right
All
now,
units.
and he has one on his
All
side.
units.
So they're having an air engagement. This just shows you how crippling limits his
All
eco
units.
made him really cut his air production. So we're at the point where we're building Banshees.
All units.
And limits can't really build much of anything.
All
He can't
units.
build up
All units.
vampires because he doesn't have Tech 2. And
All
I think we
units.
have repeating cannon right now. Pursue does. And about this point right here in the game,
Research.
I tell Pursue that to start aiming
All
main
units.
because I'm about to have power turret if I don't already, and pretty much you
All
can
units.
drop a base instantly, a cubby
All
base
units.
instantly if you have power turret and like 8 tanks on the field.
All units.
So now we see that Too
All
Legit
units.
is sending a tank to Pursue's base. He might be, and now we see there's more tanks.
Local
So
units.
Too Legit
Local
decided
units.
to try to base trade without air lead. I
Local
mean,
units.
it was probably just a
Local
desperate move.
units.
So Pursue's just going to boost back
Local
and
units.
pretty much go kill all of the tanks. And
Local
I'm just going to
units.
continue the base trade. I'm going to be taking a triple base on the side in case this really does turn into a base
Local
trade.
units.
And um,
Local units.
that way I'll have 3 bases. And Limits resigns because he pretty much has no air, and Too Legit does too. So now onward to the second game. Now we're going to be playing, like I said earlier, on Beasley's Cutter RB versus Cutter Brute. Pretty much, I mean, even though, like I said earlier, even though Arbiters can win on every map, Brutes are still pretty damn good on Beasley's and Crevice. So we have our work cut out for us again. So what me and Pursue are planning on doing in this game is threatening the cheese. I say threaten the cheese because it's a legitimate strat on this map is threatening the cheese. I know I said like in the last Beasley's game that I don't like cheesing and blah blah blah, but that was a cutter RB mirror. And a cutter RB mirror, you're not really worried about getting like leader screwed because you're the same combo. So normally I dislike cheesing when I'm searching the party against people and like a cutter RB mirror. But since we're a little bit leader screwed and threatening cheese on this map is actually a thing because if you can force the bird to get quick citadel, that means he's not like hardcore bird and hall rushing your base, and you might even get him to recall, which would it's pretty amazing. That way we're on offense and they might be on defense, and if Pursue can go untouched, just by simply building a couple grunts and threatening cheese, enforcing a citadel, then I mean, you can actually make this an RB map. So I don't want to sound like every map is an RB map, but there are definitely ways to make every map an RB map. It's just one of the advantages of having Cutter RB is you can threaten cheese every single game, which makes them have to worry about it a little bit. So Pursue's not moving his RB because he's a good kid, and I tell him to move it, and he finally moves it. So what I'm going to be doing is sending my hogs over to Pursue's base to anti-camp his left in case Too Legit tries to send his warthogs up to kill the grunts that we might be unlocking. You can see limits went temple first straight to our side. I don't know if he cleared his hook. If he dropped the bird off, he might have. That could be very well the case. So I'm just sitting back here anti-camping. I know if we have 4 grunts and a Mac that I don't need my hogs on offense to finish off a cheese. So I'm just gonna sit back and start picking all this Brute Chieftain. If he tries to unlock anything on Pursue's base, then I can just quickly ram it out, and Pursue won't be taking like any damage. So Limits is kind of in no man's land right now, taking a bunch of damage. He's getting his base. A bunch of grunts are porting in. He has a turret, but he gets Citadel. I actually think Pursue got to cancel the grunts going in before they actually went in. So that puts us that we can use the grunts to kill supply pads and whatever pads coming up, and you can actually put a brute on pretty much 1 or 0 pads just because of those 3 grunts really early on. And not only that, he's going to end up denying the summit fifth by limits, and limits is like really weak now because he took a bunch of damage from my warthogs, and he didn't have money to vortex them because he was forced into getting Citadel. So it just shows me and Pursue have probably threatened cheese on Beasley's the last like 7 or 8 times we played in high level games, and pretty much every game, threatening the cheese works. You either threaten cheese and get to strip their base, or you threaten cheese and actually cheese. And no matter what situation it is, you're pretty much ahead. So, funny story is Metalwood always making fun of me for getting cheesed, even though I hardly ever get cheesed, but he just thinks it's funny that like I get cheesed sometimes. He actually got cheesed twice in a row on this map. I thought that was hilarious. But back to this game. I'm actually getting kind of dominated though at this hook. Two legit sent one warthog, grabbed the turret, grabbed the pad. I queued a pad, but for some reason I DQ'd it because I thought the rebels were shooting it, and the rebels are playing for his team by shooting my warthogs. So if he gets his turret up, even with like even a red bar turret can kill like 2 warthogs if I only have 4 shooting it. But I'm gonna have to. I killed the turret luckily, and I'm gonna start shooting these pads coming up. So Two Legit really made a nice play on this hook because he is delaying my warthogs from going somewhere more productive. I mean, sure, I could just let this turret finish and eventually get the hook back, but I really don't want Two Legit to sit on these pads long at all. And I really don't think there's anywhere I can be too effective right now when knowing that these 2 pads are. He has my 2 pads, so I'm literally forced to sit here with my turret and hogs and get these pads. I know I'm looking pretty greedy right here by taking pretty much all the pads, but I actually kind of prefer on this map to have the UNSC get 3 of the 4 pads on our side, just because I feel like it just helps the UNSC a lot more because you can hold a double pump pretty easily, a double pump of air with 5 pads as Covey. So you just don't need much more than the 4 pads on your main and the 1 on the hook. Um, so I get that pack queue and I tell Pursue he can take it, and now I'm planning on going up to try to get a their hook, but then Pursue tells me that Limits is already on a Banshee, and not only is he on a Banshee, but he has like no heavies right now. So Pursue did a pretty heavy eco build where he upgraded pretty much. He's in the process of finishing upgrading all of his pads, and Limits just went no heavies. I think he has the 2 pads on his own hook, so he's just doing no eco Banshees. So now, instead of sending my hogs to do something else, I'm sending them back to play defense on our building summit, because if we don't get a summit up, we're kind of screwed. But with the 3 or 4 warthogs, I just lost a hog to a chopper because I'm a beast at this game, clearly. I'm going to be able to protect Pursue's summits. That way we can get onto Banshees. Pursue could save them to Vampires, but by the time he gets Vampires, he'll have like 10 Banshees, and Limits could just sack into tanks, and then we're kind of screwed because they can just steamroll us with tanks. So Limits actually had the money to buy this turret as well, and he's gonna upgrade that turret. So Limits has his hook, his turret, our turret, and he upgraded our turret, and he's building Banshees on no eco, which is I don't know how he does it. I really don't. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. But I have 2 tanks out now. I'm gonna try to fight this turret, but the turrets on my tank just aren't facing the right direction. So I'm just taking a bunch of damage, and look that now they finally shot the cannon. Oh, it's just tanks in this game can be stupid sometimes, especially how they automatically shoot air in tank engagements. But I'm gonna eventually try to kill this turret that is gonna basically half health both of my tanks, partly because my turrets are pretty stupid, and I'm gonna DQ that pad I built because I know I need a second depot up. And I haven't down teched my tech 3 yet because I know I might have to build a wolf, and I'm not really safe down teching because he has like 5 or 6 banshees. If he just boosts over to my depot and sees I down tech and sees canny going up, he can simply just shoot it a couple times. Too legit can mac it, and then I'm out of luck on canny, and then we're really in a bad spot. So too legit our limits is like still on like a pretty amazing Banshee numbers compared to us, even though he has no eco and he's like has the money to build turrets um and he's getting shot. His Banshees are getting like Pursue is not. Oh, here's the good part. Oh, I didn't see it. Oh, right there, you can see on the mini map. Pursue just got cliffed like a monster. I mean, he had a non-tech RB, but I mean, still, it helps to have an RB raging air. You don't need tech on an RB to rage air, for the most part. But yeah, limits is somehow like keeping the eco and like getting good banshee numbers, even though he's fighting banshees and tanks like at the same time. And we haven't been losing any banshees to their tanks because Two Legit's pretty much sitting back and clearing all the bases for limits. What we find out later is that Two Legit told me that he was clearing all the bases pretty much for limits to pick up the money with his chieftain, which is how he had so much money to continue to do all this stuff. But still, we're both of them are on double pumps, and limits is getting shot by my tanks and my Wolverine now that I had to build, and he's still like on more banshees than pursue, or at least like even numbers. And once again, you see he's getting shot, and he just boosts away. I had to drop a heal because of the random banshee shots in that turret, that upgraded turret that limits built right here. But I'm just now finally getting onto a double pump. I finally down teched a second ago because I'm not planning on building any more than this one Wolverine. And rushing into power turn on this map generally isn't the good thing to do unless you have a huge air lead, and you can just sit back and you know they won't push on you. So Pursue's just playing defense with Banshee, shooting as many Banshees as he can. My tank's going to sneak out at the last second, and I'm going to decide I want to go push right now because I think we have a Banshee lead, and I have like a little bit of a spot to go down here and maybe try to take a hook. So I see the Banshees are boosting back. I know that because I just saw like the little timer on the Banshee stop right in front of my tanks. So I'm basically just gonna I have time to canny the turret down and then run, and then we see their tanks. He has 5 tanks. Right there, I have 5 tanks as well, and but my tanks aren't all grouped together yet. I only have 3 up, and he has 5 already sitting by Limits' base. So I'm just gonna clear this base right now, so Pursue doesn't get shot by a turret every time. And Pursue's gonna go in by himself and try to pick off some health on one of the tanks. So now I have a decent amount of I think I have all 5 of my tanks up right now, and they're grouped together. And I have a Wolverine under it to help. And we're going to decide we need to go for an engagement right now since we have a Banshee lead and we're on even tank numbers. He's about to have a Defenders kick in, so we might have a extra tank or two. But as long as we're fighting with our Banshees, we should be fine. So I'm now pack glitching this Expo, and I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, and I knew he had at least 4 pads on this Expo. I go over and highlight it, and I'm like, yeah, he has a full expo on me. But I'm in the middle of this game. We have our communication going. I'm like, do you want to fight the base or the tanks? And Pursue's like the tanks. So I just trust him, and we decide to fight the tanks. We got our Arbiter back out. It's not tech, but he's going to draw cannies again, which is pretty much the point. So I can canny his tanks, and he has a canny and Arbiter. So we get to fight his tanks with tanks, Banshees, and Arbiter, which is just a pretty amazing engagement for us. He has 3 weak tanks, but the Banshee's just going to get them while I drop a Summit. Limits, instead of playing defense and helping with his Banshees, is just going to go try to drop both of my depots, and hope that's going to be enough to let some defenders or something kick in for Too Legit. But the thing is, I already have 26 pop, and I could only build one more tank right now if I wanted to. And you see that tank just got out barely. And I have tanks getting stuck in the middle. But I dropped Limits' Temple, and I can build 2 more tanks right now. And it looks like he's finally boosting back. But I've already killed a Summon, a Temple, and a Supply Pad. I might be able to pick off that Supply Pad in a second. Our Banshee numbers are getting a little bit out of control for them. And I'm just stacking up money because they're dropping my depots. But I still have a lot on the field at their side of the map. So I'm just building up depots, and I'm gonna sell that pad for another depot just in case I'm stacking up so much money. And I'm just going to be helping in this engagement, candy and tanks, shooting banshees, killing supply pads. And now I decide I want to go to get these hooks right now, finally. That way I can throw up 2 depots on the hooks and have, so the defenders is pretty negligible for 2 legit if I'm pumping tanks out right here in front of Limits' base, especially if I'm double pumping. So he has 3 tanks right now, but now he's about to have 1. And we have Banshee numbers, and I have 6, or 5 down at Limits' base, and I have 6 one that just popped out. So we are looking to be in a pretty good spot, and we're going to end up winning this game, as you can probably tell, because we're on offense for so long. I'm just going to kill his base. So these are pretty much skill cap 50, true skill 50 games. If you want to know how the rest of the games went, we actually won 3 games on Crevice, 2 games on Beasley's. Every game was Cutter Arby versus Cutter Brute. So we went pretty much 5-0 on the Brute maps. They won Terminal, but they had all 4 hooks, so we just kind of got destroyed, and we just resigned really early. They won a Docks game straight up. They just played it well, and I lagged out about 5 minutes in to a repo game, so I really don't know how that went. Would have gone in the end. So we ended up winning the Brute maps. Well, we ended up going 5-3, I guess, but one of them was a lag out and one was